Okay then, so I've gone round, I've masked up all of our canopy section here. I've also done some little touches in our actual cockpit area, nothing major. Okay, it was just kind of I just come along with the original paint colour, which was the Vallejo 006, and I've just kind of just painted just around the sides where our canopy's gonna sit down on, just to kind of tidy it up, nothing major. And what we're going to do now is going to get this actually glued in. What I like to do, I know a few people don't, and that's to use a bit of Tamiya extra thin cement, but I like to use a combination of Tamiya extra thin and our micro crystal clear, okay, with a cocktail stick. And what we do basically, well, what I do anyway, is actually, I'm probably going best just painting this little area here, because it might show through the actual glass, okay? So I'm just getting a little bit of black here, nice and quick, and I'm just going to paint this black. Okay, real quick like so. That should dry pretty quick. Okay, that was just in case any kind of, you could sort of see through the clear canopy anyway, to just see that little bit just on the front there. Probably won't, but it's just in case. Right, basically our front canopy bit, I always like to, well, first off, okay, you want to get a quick cotton wool bud or a rag or something, and you just want to quickly make sure that all the inside is all dust free and you've got no bits of, you know, sanding dust or chippings of plastic or anything like that, just to make sure you're all good. Because it's a bit of a pain when you come to the end, you'll demask and you've got all this kind of debris in there from your build stage. Okay, so basically we put this on the front, and I like to come along with Tamiya extra thin cement, not too much, you know, you don't want to be going nuts with this. I just like to have a nice firm seal with my front canopy section, just like so. Okay, and we make sure this is nicely in place. Like so, and that should be a nice good seal on the front canopy section there. We could also do it the same with our rear canopy section as well. Okay, nice Tamiya extra thin cement, just a little bit of a touch. You've got to be careful, okay, because if this stuff say touches your Tamiya masking tape, it's going to get under that Tamiya masking tape, and it's going to leave a mess on your actual glass area. Okay, so do be careful where you touch with this. Okay, nice steady hand. Okay, and not to go mad or nuts, just nicely get it glued into place. Okay, like so. Okay, a little bit more here for this one. Okay, and that's like those two bits of canopy nicely glued into place. They're not really going to be going anywhere, okay, but for say something like this center canopy section, I like to come along and use the micro crystal clear. Okay, it's not as strong as using Tamiya extra thin cement, okay, and the thing is with Tamiya extra thin cement, okay, because it like melts both pieces of plastic, it will it will kind of like combine the two pieces of plastic and get rid of any of those little kind of tiny little cracks, seam lines, you know, just slightly gets rid of those tiny ones, and it just neatens the whole gluing, the whole kind of process up a bit, so you don't have to come along with a lot of filler. But with micro crystal clear, it doesn't melt the plastic, it glues it together, okay, so you don't get rid of all those little tiny little cracks and all that kind of stuff. However, you have the advantage that at least if at the end you demask and you find that, oh no, you know, you've got bits of this and bits of that in there, you can actually come along and, you know, remove the canopy easily because it's not exactly a strong glue. Okay, and one little trick with this, because I mean this is a bit of a, shall we say, a tiny canopy, is we can just stick down a bit of Tamiya masking tape, okay, and then we just fold it, okay, so it touches the other side, okay, so we've made a bit of a hoop, and then we can just push that together like so, okay, and we've now got something to hold, okay, because this is a little on the small side, okay, so just getting a bit of our crystal clear on the end of a cocktail stick, and you just nice and lightly run it around the edges, okay. You don't want it to be heavy and thick, okay, so that when you put it onto the model it just oozes and spurts out the side, okay. You don't want it too thin so that it doesn't actually do anything, okay. So just try and get the experience of how much you kind of need, which is just a nice little layer, okay. And then you could kind of like hold on to it just for a couple of seconds. Don't throw it straight down, okay. Give it just a little bit of time, a couple of, maybe half a, 30 seconds maybe. Just give it a little time for the actual glue to start getting a bit bitey, a bit kind of sticky and stuff, because at the moment, it's wet, it's not very sticky, okay. Once it starts to dry a bit, okay, it's gonna build up that stickiness to actually get it to stay on, okay. So maybe a little bit of a blow, and then we can probably put this on there, and we can just nicely, carefully put this into place, okay. Oops. He says nice and carefully, but it's still good. Yeah. Okay, and that now is just nicely in place. I am seeing just some little gaps at the back here, okay, but we've got a little bit of oozing going on, so we get a cotton wool bud. Okay, lick that or moisten it, and we can just wipe up any oozing. It's not staying in. Okay, get that back into place again. Okay, try and hold it down a bit. And being careful, just wipe up any of that glue that's oozed out anywhere, okay, because once that dries it'll go all kind of peely and horrible, and you don't want that to show up in your paintwork. So we just give it a little bit of a wipe around, just around the seams, just to get rid of any of that glue up out of the way, like I'm doing here. Okay, and that now is basically, we've glued down our canopy now. Ooh. Now I'm trying to remove this. Oh, this really is not one. This is why I like to use the Tamiya extra thin. Okay, is because the Tamiya extra thin, it glues it down, and that's it. It's glued down. But as I say, it's not really that sticky. The micro crystal clear. I mean, it's good because it does glue crystal clear, okay, which if you have any mistakes, if it glues crystal clear, it's not going to kind of be that bad, but it does have a bit of a hard time actually gluing down. Okay, so I've got a bit of a gap at the back here, okay, and I'm kind of thinking I need to give this glue a little bit of strength, so I'm just dipping in our little pot here, okay, and I'm just going to get some just on the back here, okay. Yes, it looks a bit messy, okay, but that's not a big deal, because I'll show you why in a sec. Okay, because basically we come along back to cotton wool bud. nice and moist, wipe it away. Okay, so all you're left with is glue where you want it and not where you don't want it. Okay, so there we go, we've just wiped away the glue and we've left it in the gaps where we want it. Okay, now I've probably messed with that a little bit too much than I should have, which is probably why it's just kept popping out. So you've got to be really careful, not try and maul it and play around with it too much. Okay, once it's glued down and it looking in place, you know, just try and leave it and don't play with it like I did, you know, and then you can come back and you can kind of like, I'll show you how you kind of like fill in any little gaps and nasties to tidy up all the canopy all nice. And then we can basically come along and, well, I mean my airbrush is actually in pieces at the moment. But what we're going to do is we're going to come along and we're going to spray this actual canopy. Okay, so it all looks nice. I'm just going to replace this bit of Tamiya tape that has come off while trying to put this on. Okay, and as I say, you should not really kind of mess with it, you should just leave it, but there we go, I've done it now. Okay, so as I say, I mean, if you can basically kind of think micro crystal clear, nice, it's safe, so you know, if you have those problems at the end, you know, you can remove the canopy easy because it doesn't glue that well. I mean, it glues enough to hold it into place for all time sort of thing, but if you want to remove it afterwards, it's a hell of a lot easier to remove the canopy if you've glued it with this. It is really solid, virtually impossible to remove a canopy nicely if you've glued it down with Tamiya extra thin cement. You're most likely going to crack and break the canopy if you glue it down with this stuff. Okay, but as you've seen, it's a little tricky to get the canopy down using micro crystal clear, which is why I've gone off and I've glued down, you know, 2 parts of the canopy with extra thin cement, and then come along with 1 part of the canopy and glued that down with micro crystal clear, because if you get rid of that one canopy in the middle, you know, you've got access to clean everything else up. Okay, it just makes it a little bit easier if you kind of combine the both. Okay, so I'll be back when I've got my airbrush together and, you know, I'm ready to kind of do some more. Okay, then I've just gone around and I've added a few little bits to this model now. I've basically come underneath and I've done our little air intakes here. There's a nice bit of photo etch that goes inside there, which does actually look quite cool, but it's one of those things where you got to actually be able to kind of see in there, so you know, you might want to leave it out or not. So apart from that, okay, we want to kind of look now at prepping for spraying, because we're now nicely at that stage. So what we need to do is we need to oh, actually, I have noticed something I haven't done. Okay, so I'm going to do that now, actually, because it's probably best that I show you before we prep up. I know you've probably seen the vallejo technique a few times. I don't think you've seen it in this video, but right here in our little exhaust here, right, we've got a bit of a gap going on. Okay, I'm just going to show you that you just apply this with the vallejo plastic putty, get the dry bit off. Okay, and you just nicely apply it nice and perfectly with its nice applicator, a bit of a moist cotton wool bud, and you can just rub that right across. Okay, you might have to put more than 1 application down. Okay, but we've literally nicely filled those gaps. Let's bring you in a little bit more. You can probably see the white where the gaps are, where the gap was, and then we've still got a little bit of a gap there. We didn't quite get it. Okay, so we can just apply some more. Okay, and we can give that another wipe. Okay, and make sure that's all good. Okay, and we can check the other side. Okay, and again, nicely apply the plastic putty. Okay, really nice, easy, and we'll get a clean cotton wool bud, moisten and wipe. Okay, that didn't go in that well. Not as well as I'd like, but you know, it's sort of gone in there, so we can apply some more just to make sure we get it. Okay. And what? Wipe it away, get it away where you don't want it. Okay, and we're looking pretty good in there. Okay, I think that other side's quite nice. So as you can see, you know, that's nicely filled there, and we can come along with a bit of a pea cutter. Okay, and we can just take care of any of those little areas where it's gone into actual recessed panel lines where we don't actually want our putty. Okay, we want to get wash in there, we don't want it being filled in. Okay, but we can come back to this really after we've done a nice priming coat. Okay, I like to give it a bit of a go. Okay, and I don't like to faff around too long trying to make sure it's all good, because I know that when I put my primer coat on, okay, the primer coat is going to show you how it's going to look when it's sprayed, and then you're going to know if you're going to need to add more or not. Okay, and because it's such a nice, shall we say, a delicate way of filling in, because we don't have to do any sanding, you can easily apply some more on top of your primer coat, wipe it away, and be all still good. Okay, so I don't really worry about it too much. Okay, but really we need to get back to like prepping up for spraying. Okay, and I always have, you know, a nice little handy polystyrene base. Okay, I've just cut it out into a nice rectangle. Okay, and basically I like to go through all my little pieces that I've cut off. Okay, which we've got some pieces here. Okay, for our elevators, and what we want to do is we want to get out a little drill. Okay, although actually looking at these, I think we can get away with, yep, there we go, we can use some tweezers, okay, and hold these into place nicely. Okay, ready for spraying like so. Okay, so these tweezers have done the job there. I did also build our propeller here, okay, off camera, because it's nice and easy. It all gets sprayed black, so we can just glue it all together. Okay, and I've left it unglued off the model because what we want to do is leave it basically permanently unglued, because it's a nice fit, and it's one of these things, if anything's going to break on a World War II aircraft, it's going to be these propellers. Okay, so if you're ever transporting it or anything like that, you just simply pop it off, okay, and it's all kept safe, and then you can just pop it back on. Okay, if you've got, say, a bad fit and you kind of maybe need to glue it on, then you know, maybe you might have to do that, but we're a good fit here, so that can be permanently left unglued. Okay, and that can go on some tweezers as well, sprayed nice simply black, and pretty much the same goes for like everything else in here. We have got some wheels, okay, which we're going to want to put on cocktail sticks, which that doesn't actually fit. So what you have to do here is plain and simply get your cocktail stick and just trim the top off so it's not pointy, okay, and see if it fits. Okay, still doesn't fit. We'll cut a little bit more off. Okay, let's see if that fits, and there we go, that now fits. Okay, that wheel is all nicely, you can spray it, you can paint it, you know, and have complete access. Okay, and all the rest of the pieces in here, you know, I've cut them up, trimmed them up, left them on their little sprues. Okay, so basically, you know, again, you know, tweezers, we can hold with the tweezers, hold the actual sprue part, and then we can nice and easily spray both sides, you know, of what is our wheel well doors here. Okay, so we've got all that nice easy access, little trim at the end, maybe a little bit of paint on the end, and it's all good to go on. Okay, so that's basically prepping up all your little pieces, you know, to go on the model, right? Now after doing that, okay, what we've got is we've got a model here that we have been sanding, doing a bit of filler, okay. We've been handling it with our potentially sweaty, maybe greasy hands, okay, which means we could have all sorts of contamination on this actual model, okay. It was actually quite easy, so I don't think we've got much on it here, but what I like to do is, with a bit of some sort of moisture, okay, which I've just got some water here in the background, okay, we can get that and we can just apply it to a little simple toothbrush, okay, and we can literally just go over the model, okay, and rub it with a toothbrush, okay, like so. And basically what we're doing here is we're rubbing in to all our recessed panel lines, okay, rubbing into all the recessed panel lines, and we're removing all that sanding dust, okay, and any kind of maybe even filler, but it's mainly all this sanding dust, okay, and all sorts of things that have got into recessed panel lines, okay, which if we sprayed on top of, like, because I mean this one hasn't got much sanding dust on it, to be honest with you, but there are some models that have been such a problem, okay, I've sanded them in the past so much that literally all your recessed panel lines are so full with sanding dust that if you sprayed on top of them, it literally turns the sanding dust into a bit of a filler, and literally it can fill in areas of your recessed panel lines, which means, you know, when it comes to putting washes or oils or something into your recessed panel lines to weather it up, it's not going to go in there because it's basically almost been filled in by plain and simply sanding dust and then spraying on top. So this gives it a nice clean up and gets it all out, but we ain't really got to worry too much with this model because it's quite clean, hasn't had that much sanding done on it, okay. The next thing you want to do, okay, is probably come along, you know, kitchen paper towel, okay, and probably something like maybe an airbrush cleaner, maybe some sort of thinner, just on your kitchen paper towel, and literally give it a rub, okay. So we've worked all the nasty debris out of all of our recessed panel lines, and what we're doing now is we're rubbing it down with a form of light thinner, a light acrylic thinner, and what we're doing is we're getting rid of all the grease, grime, fingerprints, you know, I don't know if you've been eating food while modelling at the same time, you're getting rid of tomato ketchup or whatever, I don't know, or you've cut yourself and you've got blood on your model, you know, you're getting rid of all that stuff, wiping it all up and making your plastic really, really nice and clean and really all good and sorted and ready for some actual spraying, okay. And I've basically almost done this now. Almost there. My glove's a bit wet. Just blowing that dry. Okay, almost there, and that is now basically all nice and pretty much ready. Well, it is ready now for a bit of spraying. Okay, so what we want to do now is do our first stage of just seeing, you know, how good this model is. Okay, so plain and simply, where is it? A bit of Vallejo black I like to use because it's just nice, quick, slap it on, you know, no real kind of mixing. Airbrush, okay, getting our Vallejo black, pour it in neat, no messing about, okay, and I'm going to spray now our canopy area nice and black, bit more PSI, about 30ish. Okay, as you can see, I've just give our canopy section a nice spray of black, okay, so this way we can see how good our canopy section is, how what gaps is going on, what problems we may have with it and all this kind of stuff, okay. And we have, if you ever look through the canopy now, what you will see is black, okay, on the inside where all the bars are, okay, rather than what would be like potentially a brown and green camo if you look through, which wouldn't look right. At least it looks black inside, or whatever you want the bars on the inside of the canopy to be, that's what you want to spray this area now. And while we've got some black in the cup, okay, we can look at potential areas that were, you know, that could have problems, okay, so like seam lines. So we've got our join here, both sides, okay, where the fuselage and our wing section met. We've got a seam line that goes right down the spine here and right down the nose as well. Okay, so let's spray that up and let's see how good that is. Underneath as well, we've got a bit of a line there. We've got something going on here where we've got joins. Okay, and we'll get these just nice and quickly sprayed off so we can actually see what's going on. And then we can do our wing leading edges as well. Just a quick jot along here. Okay, so we can check them out. And that is basically it. Oh, and then we did some filling around this air intake, so let's check that out. Okay, let's just see if they're any good. Okay, oh, and there's a bit of a seam there as well, sorry, just here. Right then, so we've gone nicely around and we're giving this model a good kind of checking over and seeing how our seam lines and everything look, which the quick look I'm doing now, they're looking actually quite good actually. I'm not seeing any seam lines. On top looks good. Okay, cockpit area I think we could do with a bit of filling, okay, because if you remember our center cockpit piece, canopy cockpit piece was glued down with the micro crystal clear. That could do with a bit of fill around it, which I'm going to show you in a bit when this dries. But the other two canopy pieces are really, really nice and crisp because we use the Tamiya extra thin cement. It's kind of filled in those little gaps by welding the two pieces of plastic together. Okay. And yeah, apart from that, I think we've got a little bit of more vallejo to maybe stick down here on the air intakes, okay, but apart from that, I mean, this is all looking good, okay. So apart from those few little areas of kind of sorting out with a bit of vallejo plastic putty and wiping away, okay, that should be all good. Okay, so that is now the build stage. Okay, the next thing I need to do now is, as I say, do that little bit of vallejo putty fill a bit, and I'm going to get it over to the spray bay, and you know, we can crack on with some spraying. So to conclude the build stage, I mean, this has been a really enjoyable, easy kit to build. Okay, and don't let the easy side about this kit fool you into thinking it's not a professional kit. Okay, the detail on this is still damn good, you know. I mean, it's a lot better than some of the 1 in 48s I've done, and as I say, I mean, it just goes together like a glove. You cannot fault it for the way this fits together. It is a superb build. Okay, so I'm going to be back with the spray stage.